Alright, the City of New Orleans. Arlo did this in F sharp. And we can either play capoed 4 out of a D position, riding on the City of New Orleans, or we can capo 6, which is getting a little bit up there, and play it out of a C position, riding on the City of New Orleans. So let's look at both ways of doing it, and it's a little high for me to sing, so I'm not going to use the capo while I demonstrate here, just so that we can, so that you don't have to listen to me strain this thing up high. Let's start with the D position, right? So we're going to go D, A, and back to D. That's a 1-5-1. Then we go to 6, B minor, da da da. G's your 4-chord D. Stay there. D, and then the 5, A, and back to 1, D. Back to the 6 now, B minor to 5, A, and back to 1. And we hit that bridge and we go B minor, there's the 6th chord, F sharp minor, da, 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 and the A, there's that 5 chord, da da da. Now E major, a little bit out of our key. It starts again, B minor, F sharp minor, and A, there's that 5 chord, and back to 1. Here comes the chorus. G, then A, and D. Here comes the 6th chord. Say B minor, don't you know me? G, I'm your native son. Then we go. A, I'm the train they call the City of New Orleans. So that gets a little bit odd in there. I'm the train they call 1 to 5, the City of New Orleans. There's that B minor. And then an E again. And then we're going to go, it's really out of the key now, we're going to go C, I'll be gone 5, G, 100, A, miles when the day is done. Let's do it one more time. So we'll go riding on the City of New Orleans. Illinois Central, Monday morning rail. 15 cars and 15 restless riders. 3 conductors and 25 sacks of mail. Here comes B minor. The train is Odyssey. The train goes out of Kentucky and rolls along A past houses, farms, and fields. Passing trains that have no name and freight yards full of old black men and the graveyards of the rusted automobiles. Good morning. I said, don't you know me? I'm your native son. I'm the train they call the City of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. So, a couple little things we can add in there. I've got a little bit of a kind of cross-picking thing to make it sound kind of finger style. I happen to be using a pick, but if you were playing this finger style, now my ear keeps wanting to hear this. My ear keeps wanting to hear this sus2 note here, that open E. You don't need it. Just a little holding pattern. I don't know that Arlo does that, but that's what keeps compulsively happening when I play it. The other thing with this E, I think hammering this 3 note on here, hammering the G sharp on the 3rd string, it's kind of a cool thing to do. So in other words, when they say, the sons of Pullman porters and the sons of engineers ride their father's magic carpets, here comes made of steel. Sons of Pullman porters and the sons of engineers ride their father's magic carpets made of steel. Just kind of sneaking that in there is kind of cool. And then on the chorus, when we go, when it gets a little bit odd on the chorus, then let's see, good morning, America, how are you? Said, don't you know me? I'm your native son. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. Now right here, this little alternate thing you could do there is kind of fun. Instead of going to E, you descend the bass line. So you got the B from your B minor, A, and then this G sharp on the 6th string. And if I play this little E major chord inversion here, I've got F sharp on the 6th string, I've got A on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. I'm skipping the 5th string here. And then a G, and then an F and then a B up here on the, so I set it all around. F sharp, E, B. 4th fret, skip a string, 2nd fret, next string, 4th fret. And that's another E. Just an inverted E. So B, A in the bass, E chord inversion. So, train. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. Okay? So, briefly, let's look at what this would be like in the key of C. This thing's starting to get long here. We're pushing the 7.5 minute mark here. But if I played it in C, let's take the last verse. Until I get some lyrics down here on the floor. We go, nighttime. So we're starting on, now this is, if you capoed 6 to play with Arlo and F sharp, or if you just put it in whatever key you can sing it best in, which is what I'm doing, I would play it down here in C and say, nighttime on the city of New Orleans, changing cars in Memphis, changing cars in Memphis, Tennessee. Alright, now we got that worked out, so let's see what we're looking at here. So now we got our 1 chord is C. So we got C, and then G, the 5 chord, and back to C. Now our 6 is A minor, then F is the 4, and back to 1. There we go. 1, then G, the 5, and back to C, the 1. Then we go to 6 again, A minor, and G, and back to C, 5 to 1. And then we go, and all the A minor towns and people seem E minor to fade into A bad. And the steel, excuse me, not the F, G, steel red, still ain't heard the news. Alright, so let's look at that again. So this is where A minor, da 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 da, E minor, da 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 da, and a G, and then the D. So now this D chord out of the C position, this is what we were doing when we played the E major, when we did this before out of the D position. And that little hammer-on that I like to play in there, yeah, it sets up great when it's the E. Over here, less so. You know, let's see. It's a little bit harder to pull off. Doesn't quite work as well. We could come up with ways of doing it, but it's just not really worth it, I don't think, unless you're just into that. Sometimes you got a cool little thing that's just laying around, and sometimes it's in a different key, it's not laying there easy. So let's see, let's do that again. So that's all the towns and people seem E minor to fade into a bad dream. G and the steel rail still ain't heard D, the news. do it again. Conductor sings his songs again. A minor, E minor, the passengers will stay his refrain. This train's got the there's G, pier and railroad blues. Back to C, now of course to F. Good morning, or good night, America. C, how are you? A minor, said don't you know me? F, I'm your native son. 2, 3, 4, 1. G, I'm the train they call the G city of A minor. Alright, that should have gone to D. We're making. One of these days I'm going to have to start using. I'm going to start editing these things after the fact. The train they call C, this G, the city of New A minor Orleans. D. Then we're going to go B flat to F. I'll be gone 500 G miles when the day is done. Alright, now that thing that I did before when we descended in the other key to that inverted E, we can do that here as well, which would be, so I'm the train they call city of New Orleans. And this is this folky singer-songwriter D chord that people play all the time. So you got your D chord, and up here on the E string is an F sharp, which is the 3 note of your D chord. Well, anything that's true of the high E string is also true of the low E string. So if you just take that F sharp and you put it over here, and you keep the rest of your D chord in place, right? You see that? If I just moved it, I like to use different fingers than this, but that's essentially it. I just usually, it's more comfortable for me to play it like this. There is your D chord. And I typically mute this A string, but you don't have to. It's A is a note in the D chord. Not really playing this, although it's a 2 note if you did. But yeah. So train they call the city of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles when the day is done. Alright, well, I hope that was long enough for you. 13 minutes of me rambling on about how to change keys. Take care.